After a storm passes, the sky sometimes offers a quiet gift. A bridge of color stretching across the clouds. A fleeting ribbon of red, gold, green, and violet that appears for only a moment before fading again. To most people, it's simply a rainbow, a trick of light and water. But in the traditions of the Māori people of Aotearoa, what we now call New Zealand, that glowing arc in the sky was something far more powerful. It was a god, a watcher stretching across the heavens, a presence that connected the living with their ancestors. His name was Uenuku. Uenuku was known as a deity of rainbows and a powerful ancestor, whose story lives on in Māori genealogy and legend. He existed between worlds, sometimes remembered as a divine being of the sky, and sometimes as a man whose life was filled with love, loss, jealousy, and transformation. But like many figures in mythology, Uenuku's story does not begin in the sky. It begins on earth, with a love that was never meant to last. Welcome back, witches and wanderers, to the Morbid Witch Podcast, where we explore myths, folklore, legends, and the strange stories that linger in the shadows of cultures around the world. Each episode, we step into the tales of gods, spirits, and mysterious figures whose stories helped shape the beliefs of the people who told them. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're a returning listener, it's always good to have you back. To all my witches and wanderers, thank you for being here. Before we begin tonight's story, just a quick reminder. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment, letting me know what myth or legend you'd like to hear next. And if you're listening on Spotify, please take a moment to leave a rating for the podcast. It helps more witches and wanderers find their way to the show. You can also listen on Spotify, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. So wherever you prefer to explore the strange and mysterious, the stories are waiting. Now, let's step into the world of Māori mythology. In Māori mythology, genealogy is more than ancestry. It is identity. The concept is known as whakapapa, a system that traces lineage not only through human ancestors, but through gods, spirits, and even the natural world itself. Within these genealogies, Uenuku appears as both a divine figure and a powerful ancestral being whose descendants would shape entire tribal histories. Uenuku was said to be the son of Tawaki, a heroic figure deeply associated with lightning, storms, and journeys into the heavens. Tawaki himself appears in many Māori traditions as a traveler between worlds, a man who climbed into the sky in search of knowledge and divine power. Through this lineage, Uenuku inherited a connection to the forces of the atmosphere. His mother was Pere Koritawa, and his family included powerful figures such as Waitiri, a being connected with thunder and storms. Within the celestial family, the weather itself was alive with personality and power. Thunder, lightning, mist, and rain were not random forces of nature. They were relatives, living presences, and among them, Uenuku would become known for the most beautiful phenomenon of all, the rainbow. One of the most famous stories connected to Uenuku is the tale of Hine Hurangi, often translated as the Mist Maiden. Her name can also appear as Tairi a Kohu, meaning the one who dances in the mist. Unlike Uenuku, she was not human. She was a being of fog and dawn, an ethereal presence that moved through the valleys when the night began to fade. Uenuku encountered her in secrecy. Every night she would visit him under the cover of darkness, and the two became lovers. But their relationship came with a strict condition. Hine Hurangi told Uenuku that he must never try to see her during the daylight. If he did, she warned, she would be forced to leave forever. For a time, Uenuku kept his promise. Their meetings existed only in the quiet hours before dawn, hidden from the eyes of the world. But curiosity has undone many mortals, and eventually it would undo Uenuku as well. One morning, before Hine Hurangi could leave, Uenuku secretly blocked the openings of his house. His intention was simple. He wanted to see her, just once. As the sun rose, the light slowly filled the room, and in that moment, the Mist Maiden was revealed. The instant daylight touched her form, the enchantment shattered. Hine Hurangi dissolved like fog under the morning sun. She vanished, returning to the realm of mist where she belonged. Uenuku called out for her. He searched valleys, forests, and hills, but the mist never returned to him. Before we continue tonight's story, I want to pause for just a moment. To all my witches and wanderers listening right now, whether you're relaxing at home, driving somewhere late at night, or wandering through your own midnight thoughts, thank you for being here. If you're enjoying this episode so far and you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the podcast grow and reach more people who love mythology and folklore. And if you're listening on Spotify, leaving a rating for the show makes a huge difference. It helps more witches and wanderers discover the podcast and join our strange little corner of the internet. You can also find the show on Spotify, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. So wherever you prefer to listen, the stories are always waiting. Now, let's return to the legend of Uenuku. Uenuku's life did not end with the loss of the Mist Maiden. Another woman entered his story. Her name was Iwipupu, a figure connected in some traditions with the ocean and coastal realms. Their relationship, however, would not be remembered as one of romance. Instead, it became a story of suspicion and tragedy. Uenuku became convinced that Iwipupu had betrayed him. Consumed by jealousy and anger, he committed a terrible act that would forever mark his story. Mythology rarely hides the darker parts of its heroes, and in the case of Uenuku, the consequences of his actions would shape his transformation. Rather than remaining fully human, Uenuku's existence shifted. He became associated with the sky itself, appearing after storms as the radiant arc of the rainbow, a presence suspended between heaven and earth, neither fully mortal nor entirely divine. In Maori belief, the appearance of Uenuku in the sky could carry meaning. Warriors preparing for battle sometimes looked to the heavens for signs. If a rainbow appeared, it might be interpreted as a message from the spiritual realm. Sometimes it was seen as protection, other times as a warning. The rainbow was not simply decoration. It was a form of communication. Through it, Uenuku reminded people that the ancestors were always present, watching, guiding, and sometimes judging. Perhaps the most important aspect of Uenuku's legacy is its place within Maori genealogy. Many iwi tribes throughout Aotearoa trace their lineage back to him. In this way, Uenuku is not merely a mythological figure. He is an ancestor. His story is woven into the identity of the people who carry his name within their whakapapa. This connection between myth and ancestry reflects a worldview where the spiritual world and the human world are deeply intertwined. The sky, the land, the sea, and the people themselves are part of the same living story. Across cultures, rainbows often symbolize hope, a bridge between worlds, a promise after storms. But in Maori mythology, the rainbow carries a more personal meaning. It is the presence of Uenuku himself, a reminder of love lost to the morning mist, of jealousy that changed a man's fate, and of an ancestor whose story continues to stretch across the sky. The next time you see a rainbow after the rain, you might remember that somewhere in the traditions of Aotearoa, that arc of color is not just light. It is a god watching the world below. Thank you for listening to the Morbid Witch Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you're following the show on Spotify, YouTube, or iHeartRadio, so you never miss a story. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. And if you're listening on Spotify, please take a moment to leave a rating for the show. It helps more witches and wanderers find their way here. Until next time, stay strange, stay spooky, and remember, the shadows are always watching.